Max Verstappen reignited his title bid with a dominant victory at the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix as a late crash for Charles Leclerc in Imola saw the Ferrari Drivers' World Championship lead reduced. Verstappen produced a faultless display from pole position on a drying track to complete a much-needed perfect weekend after winning the sprint and led a 1-2 for Red Bull from teammate Sergio Perez. Leclerc, who dropped from second to fourth at the start, hit a barrier as he attempted to chase Perez with 10 laps remaining, eventually finishing 6th after being forced to pit for a new front wing. Leclerc error enabled Lando Norris to score a surprise podium for McLaren, with the incident capping a hugely disappointing home race for Ferrari, who saw Carlos Sainz retire on the first lap after a collision with Norris's teammate Daniel Ricciardo. George Russell drove an excellent race to finish 4th after starting 11th, but his Mercedes teammate Lewis Hamilton enjoyed a torrid afternoon, making it only up one position to finish outside the points in 13th. Bottas produced another strong drive to claim 5th for Alfa Romeo. Yuki Tsunoda was 7th for Alfa Tauri, while Kevin Magnussen was 9th between the Aston Martins and Sebastian Vettel and Lance Stroll in 10th. The victory sees Verstappen, who took a maximum 34 points from this week, and after winning Saturday's sprint and claiming extra point for fast lap on Sunday, climbed to 2nd in the World Championship standings. Yesterday and the day before we were on it, and it was looking like a strong weekend. Verstappen, who had 2 DNS in the opening 3 races, said, "Today you never know with the weather how competitive you're going to be. As a team we did everything well, and I think this was the 1-2 we deserved." Leclerc, who finished 2nd to Verstappen in Saturday's sprint, is now 27 points clear of the Dutchman, who has reinvigorated his hopes of adding to his maiden World Championship last season. Ferrari's passionate fans arrived on a bright morning in Imola and didn't have the same fate, however, hoping Leclerc could add to his 2 victories in the opening 3 races of the season, but the downpour that preceded the start of the race turned out to be foreboding. While the entire grid started on the intermediate tyres, Leclerc was overtaken by Perez and Norris off the line. Sainz, who started 4th after a strong recovery drive in the sprint, having crashed out of qualifying on Friday, collided with Ricciardo at 2 and was left beached in the gravel as the safety car was deployed. It was the second successive retirement for the Spaniard and marked the end of a disappointing weekend, with which began with a 2-year contract extension being announced. Leclerc was able to pass Norris with relative ease to climb up the stairs and momentarily got in front of Perez as Ricciardo triggered the entire field to switch to slicks after coming in on lap 18. Perez pitted a lap earlier than Leclerc and Verstappen, which saw the Ferrari emerged ahead of him, but with his tyres to speed, the Red Bull was able to immediately regain P2. Struggling to close in on Perez, Leclerc opted for another late stop, which appeared geared towards trying to claim the fastest lap of the race and then catching Perez. But when Red Bull matched the strategy, the Ferrari suddenly found himself in DRS range, pushing to pressure the Mexican. Leclerc got over-aggressive but very anti-outer and lost control to hit the barrier, and was ultimately fortunate to be able to continue after stopping for a new front wing. Leclerc emerged in 9th but passed Magnussen, Vettel and Tsunoda to limit the damage and finish 6th. "It's a big shame," he said. "I believe the spin shouldn't have happened today. P3 was the best I could do. We didn't have the pace for much more and I was too greedy and I paid the price for it and lost 7 potential points." Meanwhile, Verstappen, who now has both races he finished in after being forced to retire in Bahrain, Australia, eased the victory as he navigated the challenging conditions with relative ease. It was a hugely contrasting day for Mercedes as Russell produced perhaps his best display in his first season with the team to gain 7 places and finish 4th. The majority of his work was done in the opening lap as he jumped 5 positions, but he also produced one of the passes on the race as he produced a rare overtake at Variante Alta on Magnussen. The pass was even more impressive when compared to Hamilton's experience. The 7-time world champion gained 3 early positions himself but was unable to improve from there and in fact went backwards. Hamilton would engage in an animated discussion with team principal Toto Wolff after missing out on Q3 on Friday, was hampered by the unsafe release of Esteban Ocon in the Alpine in the pit lane and then struggled to get his tyres working upon his return to the track. That left him behind the AlphaTauri of Pierre Gasly, who was unable to pass even when the DRS was finally enabled as the track was deemed sufficiently dry just beyond the midpoint of the race. All that remained was the indignity of being lapped by Verstappen, whom he shared a fierce title battle with last year. A weekend to forget, that Hamilton summarised. "I'm out of the championship for sure, there's no question about that, but I'll still keep working hard as I can to try and put it back somehow." Russell, who is now finished in the top 5 in all 4 races, is 3rd in the World Championship. It's just 2 points behind Verstappen. Despite his lofty position, Russell, who was unable to close on Norris's McLaren during the second half of the race, so while Mercedes still have lots of work to do, I think we've got to be pleased that we're getting the best result possible week in, week out. Whether we're getting the most out of the car is a different story. I'm really happy with this P4, but if we want to sustain this position, we need to find more pace. Before I go, let me run you through the final positioning. Verstappen P1, Perez T2, of course. Yeah, great weekend for Red Bull, back to their best, faultless, really. And first 1, 2 in 5 years, which is surprising, but great result for them and puts them back in the title fight. Norris P3, incredible the progress McLaren made recently. You'll be really happy with that. And Russell P4, you compare what Hamilton is. Yeah, brilliant result for George. He's had a really impressive start, as has Bottas, and without that safety, he really could have been challenging for the podium. But yeah, Bottas is revitalised and a great result for him. Leclerc in 6, that's really disappointing, isn't it? P3, probably the maximum he could have got. But it is frustrating. It's points lost, and he can't afford to do that in a title battle. But Tsunoda 7's probably one of his best weekends in F1 so far. Really impressive. Vettel in 8, so I think he'll be happy with that as well. The Aston Martin is a bit of a dog, but he's come flying back from over Australia. Magnussen in 9th is a good result for Haas, I would say. Maybe he could have aimed for a few places higher, but in the end, not a bad result. Stroll in 10th was some good stuff from Aston Martin as well, getting here into the points as well. They'll be happy with that, especially where they were last time out. Albon will be gutted to miss out on points, but he did a great job holding up Gasly, who, I think he had a disappointing weekend, just didn't really have the pace of Tsunoda, and obviously got screwed over in qualifying yesterday. Hamilton in 13th, just not his weekend, wasn't it? I think it's the first that kind of did the damage, and then after that, with that poor poison car, he just had no chance of getting through, really, which is obviously is a massive shame for Lewis. Once then it was done, and then below that you've got Joe in 15th, Latifi in 16th, just once again them two not really having the pace of their teammates. Schumacher in 17th, similar sort of story, isn't it? Really disappointing from Schumacher today. And then Ricciardo in 18th. He made another stop when he was around Hamilton, which was a bit of a weird one, but obviously hampered by the collision with Sainz, which also cost Sainz as well, and that's a big blow for him. Alonso, that guy's just had no luck this season. You've got to feel sorry for him because he has had the pace there, definitely. Anyway guys, that's it for the video. Thanks very much for watching. Remember to like, share, subscribe, any thoughts, comments down below. Following us to the description below for daily F1 news, and subscribe to my channel on the screen right now. It'd be greatly appreciated. Thanks very much for watching. Peace.